basketball on that
good
day.
Game. We need to destroy all the junk. And the next day, look, the next day they did something we call the Russian doll. Remember Russian dolls? Look, I'm going to draw something for you. Imagine this is the floor. Okay? On top of the floor, they built a terrace with steps for rituals. Okay? Then 52 years ends and 52 years start. The way they reflect the new era is they cover that with a pyramid. And then 52 years start again and they cover this one. Okay? And 52 years go and again and again and again. That's why we call this the Russian doll technique or effect. You're looking at the third one. Now, but the interesting thing is that archaeologists they've dug almost everywhere. That's why you see all these metal plaques. They found stuff below the surface. We'll be walking. See, if you want to know what made these people so famous. These guys made many buildings, but this particular plaza, 600 years before any beast of burden had walked upon the surface of America. See, no horses, no mules, no donkeys, no camels, no ox. Everything you see was carried by man. The only out of the 96 cultures that America had that used metal tools, Peruvians. Everybody else was the Stone Age culture. So they used stone to shape and pierce and carve the stone that you see. Okay? This is a credit. And then, for example, in the Roman culture, they found blueprints, so they know how they planned the structures of the Romans. Okay? Neither the Greek or the Maya. We have no idea how they planned this. We don't know how they measured this. We don't know how they made precise alignments on buildings and shapes so they create optical illusions. For example, Stonehenge, Chaco Canyon, the Palace of Cusco. A man has detected that they're not ordinary buildings. They're time devices. The sun and moon and Venus moves here and out of here, and they can tell. They're clocks, giant clocks. Okay, this you're looking at, for example, is a giant clock. Okay, very precise. It ticks twice a year. The day that spring and fall begins, it ticks, and the way it ticks is not with sound. There's an optical illusion that 90,000 people come to see. Imagine 90,000 people, half of the grass. And what made this so famous, let me tell you, this will take like 5 minutes. Why these guys are so respected. Okay? There's a book that appeared in Seville, Spain, written by these men. Okay? It's about history and legends, so there we know they were concerned about their past. There's a book that appeared in Louvre Museum in Paris. Okay? That is about medical procedures, so we know they're concerned about their health. Okay? But there's a certain portion in that book where these guys describe trepanation. Señores, trepanation is surgery in the scalp. How? Without any metal tools. How did they do that? We don't know. If you ever happen to be in the Royal Library of Dresden, Germany, you'd see a book that was written by a guy that ruled this city and this empire. The guy's name, just so you know, Akupakad. Akupakad, that's the guy's name. Akupakad, which means shield of fire. See? Remember his prophecy 2012? He wrote that, but he doesn't project it as a prophecy. He's a little more fascinating than Discovery Channel series. Let me tell you what. In that book, which is 84 pages this high, this wide, they spread like an accordion, he describes the cycle of the sun, the moon, Venus, and Mars. If you recall, when the Europeans found America, their calendar, which was supposedly accurate, only had 364 days. It was known as the Julian calendar. 90 years after they conquered ancient Mexico, Pope Gregory XIII corrected that using this, the calendar created in Chichen Itza. Okay? He added day 365 in leap year, and since then, the history of the world is correct. Okay? So we owe them a calendar to begin. Okay? Second, the only rivals to the Mayan astronomy is a nuclear clock sitting in Boulder, Colorado, and it's fractions of seconds. This man in that book wrote something we call the chart of the eclipses. It's a small chart that repeats every 33rd year. It's infinite. Whoever had it could predict any eclipse. Solar, lunar, partial, total. See, okay? This man wrote about 2012, but he also wrote this. He says the 11th of July of 1991, a grand full solar eclipse shall occur. The 11th of July of 1991. That happened. So these guys aren't prophets. They're hardcore scientists. Mathematics, astronomy, they map the sky, the sequences the sky moves in. Now let me ask you about the sky. Look at this man. Imagine this man was born 1,000 years ago. Depending on his birthday, he was born to rule. And he would inherit automatically one of these books. It's his way of ruling. So he has to get ready to fulfill the book. The math and the writing, and they got to teach him. Okay? Then his day comes. Suddenly his book says there'll be an eclipse in 4 days. You know what the Spanish saw these people do in places like this? They say when a man is about to go up the main temple, an extraordinary event is about to take place. The man steps to the bottom right of the steps. He's facing the opposite side. He bears an incense burner in his left hand. He goes up in long lines. He's up there inside a series of days. He's taken hallucinogenics. And when he thinks he's got ready something to transmit, he's been connected to the gods. They have to bring the people because no one was here. So they have their bells. You know their bells, like a church? They're different. People stood on top of that and on top of that to play drums and conch shells. Then people entered, they dispersed around the bottom, and then this man is ready up there with thousands and thousands of people below. Okay, let me ask you this. He knows the eclipse is going to happen. Look at this man. What would this man do? Step out and announce the eclipse and blow centuries of research? Or step out and in front of the spectators create the eclipse? See? Okay, that's it. These are places of power. So look out. The Spanish guy who saw this wrote everything down. The last part is interesting. He says, when the high priest speaks to the masses, you can't see him. And his voice changes so dramatically it sounds like from another world. Based on that, we think we know what this is for. From where the steps begin to where they end, it is a monumental stage. Someone needs to be seen, so they make this artificial elevation so it can be seen clearly miles away. But the interesting part is this, the one we can't prove. Okay? The building on top is said to be a mathematically engineered acoustic box. A speaker box. A stage with a speaker box on top. Look out, I gotta show you. Where's that man? What would you have done, sir, just as a question? Option 1 or option 2?
What, for the miracle of the
You
eclipse?
would have been up there, what would have been your answer?
Well, I would
Announce or create?
No, I wouldn't say a thing. I would actually dramatically
I would create.
You died.
I would totally create.
You are hallucinating. Look at,
What's the illusion you talked about?
I need the angle to show you. Look, this is only a test. I'm going to clap my hands, and you're going to hear the clap magnify inside the chamber and bounce out to the open. Anybody want to try this?
Ew.
Oh. See, that's us. So at the end, señores, this is the American version of the Greek amphitheaters, massive structures made to communicate to massive amounts of people at the end. This is the technology available in the American continent 11 centuries ago. Limestone, all they use is limestone, sand, seashell, and water and wood. Look at the entry. The wood crowning the entry, that's original. It's 11 centuries old. Okay? The guys up there, not ordinary people. And we know there's something Mexicans can't take, by the way. I'm a Mexican. There was no sexual discrimination in these cultures. The first ruler of Chichen Itza was a lady by the name of Bird of Fire. Bird of Fire. If you want to see her house, it's a 7-minute walk in that